Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everybody to the class.
She's got to turn that down.
Oh, that's why I have it on echo. Okay. All right. Let's try that again without an echo. Oh.
Both buttons are going up. There it goes.
Third time's a charm. All right. Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Placer County LAFCO meeting of Wednesday, May 13th, 2026. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and can you please rise and follow me with the flag, salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If I can sit down. Amy, can I please have a roll call?
Sure. All right, Commissioner DeMatte. Commissioner Eklund. Commissioner Friedman. Commissioner Gustafson.
Here.
Commissioner Rohan. Commissioner Youngblood.
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Bass. Alternate Commissioner Landon. Absent. Alternate Commissioner Spriggs. Absent. Alternate Commissioner Wilson. And Chair Alpine.
Here. That brings us to our next item, reports from staff. I believe we have 2 items today.
Yes, so we have some updates to the commission makeup. We had a special district election that concluded on May 4th. We received 26 ballots out of the 37 special districts, and Judy Friedman was reelected to the special district seat for a 4-year term ending May 2030. So congratulations to Judy.
Yeah.
Thank you, but I'm going to run again in 2 years anyway.
And then we also have our city member rotation updated, and we have Stephanie Youngblood from Loomis, who's transitioned from the alternate seat to the regular voting seat that was previously held by Colfax, and her term will run through May 2030. And we also have David Bass from Rockland, and he's been seated in the alternate city member seat, and that term ends in May of 2028.
All right. Welcome aboard.
All right, that
All right.
concludes the report.
That'll bring us to item 4, changes and approval of the agenda.
Move to approve?
Pardon me?
Yeah, no.
Can I get no changes? Approval? Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Oh, you beat me.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries unanimously. That brings us to item 5, public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to speak to the commission on any subject within its jurisdiction that is not on today's agenda. You may, but are not required to submit a speaker card before the first speaker is called. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Items for the public will be considered without discussion by the commission and may be referred to staff. At this time, if there's an item on the agenda, wait for that item to come up. There'll be a chance to speak to it, but this is just general public comment.
Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome. Anybody from the public in the chambers would like to speak? Seeing none, I will ask those that are online, if anybody online would like to speak to the commission under public comment, please raise your hand. All right, seeing none, I'm going to close public comment, and we'll continue to the next item, consent calendar. Is there any questions from the commission on any of the items listed on the consent? Seeing none, I'll ask the public, is there any public member like to comment on any items on the consent calendar? It's a chance to do it. Seeing none in the chambers, anyone online? Okay, bring it back to the commission for
I'll move
action.
approval of consent calendar.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries unanimously. That brings us to 7, a public hearing. Final work plan and budget for fiscal year 2026-27, Phase 1. Mrs. Ross.
Thank you, Chair. Ooh, that was loud. Thank you, Commissioners. As you may recall, at the April 8th hearing, the Commission adopted the proposed budget and provided direction to staff to return with changes to the proposed work plan. So today is the opportunity for the Commission to review and refine the proposed work plan for fiscal year 26-27 and provide direction to staff with respect to any revisions to the proposed final budget for fiscal year 26-27 in preparation of adopting both the final work plan and budget at the June 10th Commission meeting. So I'll just summarize some of the changes that were made to the proposed work plan and budget. You can see them in red line in your attached packet. So large changes, the Alta Fire Protection District and Forest Hill Fire Protection District individual municipal service reviews are proposed to be folded into a combined new MSR as part of the MSR titled 7 Agency Fire MSR Study Addendum. So this change, as proposed, would add an MSR analysis also for Placer County Fire Department, County Service Area 28 for fire services only, Alta Fire Protection District, Forest Hill, and the City of Auburn Fire Department in an addendum document to be attached to the existing 7-agency fire MSR for the west slope of Placer County, which includes the City of Lincoln, Newcastle's Fire Protection District, Penryn, Placer Hills, City of Rockland, City of Roseville, and South Placer FPD. Excuse me, not Newcastle, the former Newcastle Fire Protection District. So that would round out the West Slope Fire Service MSR is the goal with that. So then the County Service Area 28 MSR study is amended to be a comprehensive service review of CSA 28 excluding fire service, as that would be reviewed in the preceding MSR I just spoke of. And then we will also add a Western Placer County Fire Service sphere of influence and alternate governance study with the intent there that we review the spheres for the agencies on the West Slope in that study and provide a roadmap for future consolidations of the fire districts as necessary on the West Slope. And we anticipate that study to be conducted in the next work plan so that the data is as current as possible. And then formatting changes, we added a status to the left-hand side of the current MSR, SOI, and application projects narrative to sort of inform what the status is of each project in an easier-to-read format. And we also added additional information to the applications under the work plan table format to inform the status of applications. The changes to the proposed budget, so we updated charge table cost estimates from the county as of May 1st. And that reflected an estimated increase of about almost 7,000. So this amount also includes updated costs, increases and decreases from county estimates, as well as an $8,064 to cover IT support for commission meetings. So staff were informed that commission meetings support is separately billed at an hourly rate. So the additional cost assumed 14 meetings for the year at 3 hours a meeting. I know we usually are a little faster, sometimes longer, so that was kind of an average for the fiscal year. So that'd be 12 regular meetings and 2 special meetings. I think that'll give us enough wiggle room to cover our meetings for the year. And I'd also like to mention that county charges are estimates and they may fluctuate until the final county budget is adopted in June. So staff recommends the commission provide staff with direction regarding any items in the proposed work plan and proposed final budget and direct staff to return at the June 10th meeting for the commission to adopt the final work plan and budget for fiscal year 26-27 or phase 2. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Does the commission have any questions on the report? Steph?
I wanted to first compliment you. Thank you for revising the work plan and including those elements that I think are so critical to a comprehensive view. Secondly, in the past, we've asked that LAFCO staff meet with the cities and the special districts, make sure they're aware of these budget changes. Have you had a chance to do that yet, or is your intent to do it after this?
My intent was to do it after this.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then they would have input available, be able to provide input before we do the final adoption.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, and great job on this. I appreciate very much that revised work plan.
Any other comments, questions?
Yeah.
Okay, seeing none.
I was going to say something like that.
Barbara?
I just want to add on, thank you for making these changes too, because it was really easy to follow, it was easy to understand, and it's exactly what I think we were asking for last meeting.
All right, great. Anybody else I just missed? All right. With that, I'm going to now open the public hearing. This is the time any member of the public would like to speak to this item. Please approach the podium. I'll first ask anybody in the chambers. Seeing none, I'm going to now ask those that are online, if you'd like to speak to the item. No hands are raised. I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for action or discussion.
I'm happy to make a motion unless there's
All
discussion.
right?
I can second.
Okay, move approval. Or move direction to the next, to the next action, yeah.
Okay. And I believe second. All right. Oh, we'll bring it back. Right.
To the June 10th meeting.
Right? I don't think I have to take a vote with that, do I? Yeah.
Yes,
All right.
you should do that.
Can I, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Actually,
Roll
Chair,
call?
I'll find it'd be better if you did it,
Okay.
a roll call vote.
I'll do a roll call. All right, please have a roll call.
All right, Commissioner DiMattei,
Yes.
Commissioner Eklund,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedman,
Yes.
Commissioner Gustafson,
Aye.
Commissioner Rohan, and Commissioner Youngblood, and Chair Alpine.
Yes. All right, that brings us to our next item, business item 8A, LAFCO Project 2601, Town of North Tahoe, Incorporation Process Overview. I believe this is cool.
All right,
All right,
thank
go ahead.
you, Chair Alpine and members of the commission. There are slides associated, so it may take a moment to pull those up. All right, can everyone see that?
Yes?
All right, thank you. So this commission is one in a small number of LAFCOs in the state where there's an incorporation application on file. While incorporations generally follow the same statutory framework as other jurisdictional boundary changes, they involve several additional requirements that make the process significantly more complex and comprehensive. And so we're going to go through the overarching process today. The proposed incorporation on that is on file, and there's an application on file, is the Town of North Tahoe. And today's presentation is intended to provide an overview of the incorporation process, including LAFCO's role, the major statutory, fiscal, and environmental review components that will guide the Commission's consideration of the proposal, and also wanting to just touch on throughout the process the opportunity for early coordination and input from affected and interested agencies and members of the public as the application continues to move forward. And then I also want to acknowledge that representatives from Eastern Placer Future are here today. We will both be available at the end of the presentation to help respond to Commission's questions about the incorporation proposal and the review process. And next slide. For those that may be sitting with us today that aren't as familiar with LAFCO, I wanted just to provide a brief background. So local agency formation commissions, otherwise known as LAFCO, were created by the state legislature in 1963 to curb urban sprawl and bring some order to how cities and special districts grow and provide services. There is a LAFCO in each county in California. And commissions are comprised with county, city, special district, and public member representation. So providing that broad local representation that's needed to consider growth and boundaries and services countywide. Over time, LAFCO's authority has evolved through several legislative updates, the most recent being in 2000 with the Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg rewrite, which strengthened LAFCO's role through establishing spheres of influence for cities and special districts and giving LAFCO clearer authority over boundary changes such as annexations, consolidations, formations, and incorporations. And as well as service extensions. So any water or wastewater services provided outside of cities, special districts must also come before LAFCO for approval. And so LAFCO's core mandate is to promote the logical boundaries and efficient service delivery. Next slide. And a little bit on LAFCO's role in incorporations. Thank you. Is to review and evaluate incorporation proposals, just like any other application that comes before LAFCO. Incorporations are a type of jurisdictional boundary change that LAFCO oversees, and it involves the transition of an area from unincorporated county territory into a newly formed city or town, in this case with its own local municipal government. And unlike annexations or reorganizations involving existing agencies, an incorporation establishes a new local government entity with authority over municipal functions such as land use planning, local roads, law enforcement, and municipal administration. And because incorporations involve the creation of entirely new governmental structure, they require additional fiscal service delivery, governance, and environmental analysis beyond what is typical for an annexation or consolidation. So with that, we'll talk more about the comprehensive fiscal analysis, but this is something unique. Annexations do not require a comprehensive fiscal analysis. Even district formations don't require a comprehensive fiscal analysis. LAFCO also will be required, as you know, will serve as lead agency, and this discretionary action will require environmental review through the California Environmental Quality Act. LAFCO will be looking at the proposed boundary, the service delivery structure, the fiscal impacts of the application, and ultimately has the authority to approve, conditionally approve, or deny the incorporation. And ultimately, if approved, will be placed on the ballot for voter approval. Next slide. And so a quick overview of the proposal. There's two ways to initiate any type of boundary change application before LAFCO. It can be done by agency resolution of application, where they are proposing a change, or it can be by petition. And actually, incorporation proposals can be initiated both ways. In some cases, incorporations are being proposed by a community services district that is wanting to transition into cityhood. And so, but in this case, the town of North Tahoe proposal was initiated via petition. And the petition signature requirements are at least 25% of the registered voters within the proposed territory submit written support, sign the petition. And so in this case, for the proposed incorporation, I'll show a figure in the next slide. There are 8,572 total registered voters within the subject territory. And so 25%, or more than 2,143 did sign the petition. And that was verified by the registrar of voters. And so the boundary includes the North Shore Lake Tahoe, communities of Tahoe City, Kings Beach, Olympic Valley, Alpine Meadows, and extends north to the Nevada County boundary, including Martis Valley, and includes over 59,000 acres. And so next slide showing the boundary. Thank you. And I know it's really hard to see on the screen. So we do have a webpage on the website that includes the application materials, a lot of information, as well as this web map link and the map. So a lot of good information for to review there. Next slide. The reasons for the proposal as included in the application is included on this slide, to be distilled into, the local governance and decision making, and providing for local governance and decision making through a locally elected town council, and more direct local control of and for community level services, including but not limited to zoning and land use, law enforcement, local road maintenance and snow removal, transit and related services, economic development, and town administration, as well as strengthening regional representation and increasing regional collaboration. Right, and next slide. And key proposal components. So the name of the new city is the town of North Tahoe. As part of the incorporation proposal, responsibility for municipal services currently provided by the county would shift to the new town, while independent special districts would continue providing the services for which they are already authorized. And certain services would be provided by contract with the county. And so that is as part of the plan for services. There would be establishment of a co-terminus sphere of influence. And again, just to reiterate, is subject to LAFCO approval and subsequent voter approval. So those are the key proposal components. Now, with regard to this slide, just lists the special districts that are either entirely within the proposed boundary or partially within and outside, and just highlighting the number of local service providers that deliver municipal services within and adjacent to the town boundaries. In addition, there are numerous other local, regional, and state agencies with jurisdictional interests within the proposed incorporation area. And LAFCO has established an extensive referral distribution list and will continue coordinating and keeping affected and interested agencies informed as the process moves forward. And with regard to the current status, we've talked about all of these. Petition was deemed sufficient. That was submitted to LAFCO in January. Then the full application was submitted to LAFCO in February. LAFCO then sent out the notice of filing, which is a referral to interested and affected agencies. We then held an informational agency meeting in April. We're here today with an informational presentation to the commission, and then agency comments are due for that initial referral by the end of the week. So that's exciting. We're getting through that initial referral period, and comprehensive fiscal analysis scoping is underway, and we'll talk more about that. And just trying to continue to convey how important it is for affected and interested agencies to be part of this process. And so the notice of filing was that initial referral and opportunity for comment on the application. Really, we were asking agencies, their coordination preferences, if they had any initial service concerns, asking for any information on services, or fiscal or operational considerations. So we have started to get comments back, and we anticipate more by the end of the week. And then just reiterating that, there'll be additional opportunities for coordination and comment, both as part of the comprehensive fiscal analysis process and the environmental review. And so moving on to the comprehensive fiscal analysis. So as mentioned earlier, this is required under Government Code Section 56800. It is the responsibility of LAFCO, but it is paid for by the applicant. It is prepared by a consultant, and it evaluates the revenues, expenditures, and resulting fiscal condition of the proposed town and the impacts on the county and other affected agencies, and really provides that neutral foundation for decision making. And I want to point out that the comprehensive fiscal analysis ultimately is not a determination of feasibility of whether an incorporation should occur. It really answers the question, if the proposal is implemented, what are the fiscal implications? Next slide. So staff is recommending a two-phased approach for the comprehensive fiscal analysis. The first phase being reviewing the boundary and plan for services assumptions, and confirming the preliminary plan for services that was included in the application, and as part of the initial fiscal feasibility analysis. And establishing the foundational service delivery governance and organizational assumptions that will guide the fiscal environmental review processes. So LAFCO also anticipates opportunities for community meetings and public and agency engagement through the early phase of this process, particularly as boundary and service assumptions are being evaluated. Next slide. And then phase two would be the detailed fiscal modeling, the comprehensive fiscal analysis of in the report. So this would analyze the preferred boundary and service plan scenario. It would establish a base year municipal budget and prepare multi-year revenue and expenditure projections. It will include the development and analysis of property tax allocation assumptions sufficient to evaluate the fiscal feasibility of the proposed town and or the fiscal impacts to affected agencies. And these assumptions will help establish the baseline framework for modeling revenues and expenditures during the analysis. However, it's really important to note that the comprehensive fiscal analysis itself does not determine the final property tax exchange, and that the final allocation of property tax revenues ultimately are established separately through the statutory property tax exchange and revenue neutrality negotiation process, which I'll have a slide on, and that involves the county and the affected agencies prior to commission action. And so next slide is regarding revenue neutrality. And so this is where is the concept that incorporation should result in a similar exchange of both revenue and service responsibilities. So it ensures that incorporation does not result in disproportionate fiscal harm to existing service providers. And so the comprehensive fiscal analysis really provides that neutral data-driven basis for the revenue neutrality decisions. And as part of the terms and conditions, the commission may approve if the parties agree to the proposed transfer or if the negative fiscal effects are mitigated to revenue neutrality agreement. So if there are impacts, they are mitigated through this revenue neutrality agreement. And so revenue neutrality payments can be years long depending on what is agreed upon. It can include property taxes, sales taxes, or transient occupancy taxes. Next slide. And with regard to CEQA, again, LAFCO will serve as lead agency for environmental review. The application does indicate there's no proposed changes to land use designations, zoning, or Tahoe Basin area plan policies. The scope and level of environmental review has not been determined, but will be informed by agency consultation and closely tied with the comprehensive fiscal analysis, both the service assumptions and the boundaries. And we anticipate, a consultant for being brought on for the environmental review as well. So high level process, we are in the application stage. So we are here. And actually, I don't think can you move forward? I think there we go. Thank you. And then one more time. Thank you. We are here. So in the application phase of the incorporation process. And so I'll go through each of these, both the moving forward through the application, LAFCO review, commission consideration, election, and transition. And I'll try to be brief, so I'll ask questions. So with regard to the application, as I mentioned, this is where we're at now, but we're going through it. So the petition was submitted, LAFCO certified the petition as sufficient. The incorporation application has been submitted, it is on file. A notice of filing has been issued to affected and interested agencies. We're in the midst of comprehensive fiscal analysis scoping. There'll be, we have a draft request for proposals that will be going out very soon, and then ultimate consultant selection in the coming weeks. And then also the same with CEQA scoping and ultimate consultant selection. Once this happens, then we'll be moving into the conducting the comprehensive fiscal analysis and the environmental review that will inform and facilitate the revenue neutrality discussions. LAFCO staff would be preparing the terms and conditions and preparing for the public hearing. So this is all in advance to then commission's review. Thank you. And so once the comprehensive fiscal analysis is published, there is in the statutory, in the statute 56801, state controller review can be requested. And so there's a process for that. But ultimately, if that doesn't happen, then it would move forward through the public hearing, and or hearings through LAFCO. There would need to be a series of findings that are made as part of the LAFCO review, and that would be consistency with the Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg Act. Are we on the right slide? Oh, go to the commission considerations. Great, thank you. Consistency with the Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg Act, review of the sphere of influence, the comprehensive fiscal analysis, the executive officer's report, and ultimately a finding that revenues are sufficient to provide services and a reasonable reserve for at least 3 years of operation. There would be terms and conditions in the resolution of approval that would relate to the property tax exchange, the provisional grant limit, which is a temporary appropriations limit established for newly formed agencies until a permanent limit is calculated and adopted. And I'm sure many other terms and conditions. And then, but a protest hearing. So upon commission approval, there is no protest hearing because it then goes to election. There are many steps, as you can see, in coordination with affected agencies that are part of this process. And then here's a slide on election. So the commission's resolution would then call the election. There would be ballot language regarding the measure, and the election can be at a special or general election, and the executive officer is responsible for the impartial analysis. If approved, so next slide, if approved and a new town is established, including the new town council, that council would meet and hire a city manager who then hires other staff, would hire a city attorney, enact a code. Typically it's the county's code for that interim period, and until they adopt their own general plan and zoning code. And then some taxes are delayed. So that first year, that transition period, there's opportunity to enter into reimbursement loans with the county if necessary. Next slide. And here again is the broad process that we went through. And again, we're here. And just key takeaways, next slide. It's a multi-step, multi-agency process. The comprehensive fiscal analysis and environmental review are critical next steps. Agencies absolutely play an important role in data coordination and input, and there'll be additional opportunities for agency and public review and comment. Again, next slide, the notice of filing is kind of our next or they're due on Friday. So that we're looking forward to that milestone. And then the next slide is questions and comments. Again, just wanting to emphasize that, we're here to answer any questions. So if any member of the public or agency wants, please reach out to LAFCO staff, either by email, phone, and also there's a North Tahoe Incorporation webpage on the Placer LAFCO website. So please get, and we'll be updating that as we move forward. So we welcome your questions and feedback throughout the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. This time, is there any questions for the commission on the report?
Sir.
Okay.
Thanks, Colette. You had mentioned that we cannot vote based on fiscal determination during the phase 1 and 2, but then under revenue neutrality, it says we may approve it if the result does not result in this opportunity for fiscal harm. Can you explain that? Or maybe I misunderstood you?
Yeah, so the revenue, so if there is a need to enter into revenue neutrality to therefore make the, if you would like, we could bring back that slide if that would be helpful with revenue neutrality. But if there is not a similar exchange of both revenue and service responsibilities as part of the exchange and transfer of services and responsibilities from the county to the new city, and if there are negative fiscal effects at the outcome, if that's what the comprehensive fiscal analysis finds, that there will be negative fiscal effects to the county, if approved, then that's when there would be the revenue neutrality negotiations between with the county to mitigate those impacts. And those would be potentially those annual payments, and they can be for a 10-year term, a 5-year term, and some are indefinitely. And so it's really, there's a negotiation there to mitigate any harm, and that typically it's through property taxes, TOT, or sales taxes that those can be mitigated, or other items that may be part of the negotiation. I hope that answers your question.
Partially, but.
I know.
So then,
it's complicated.
no, I mean, obviously I'll wait till the fiscal analysis comes in and what happens. But so after all that happens, whether it's positive or negative, does that go to the Board of Supervisors for final vote? Or how?
That's a good question. I
how is
mean,
that
the
determined?
county is involved in those negotiations, and I don't know if I would expect that it would go to the Board of Supervisors, but I don't know that actually. And that would be, ultimately when the consultant is hired, they would be able to answer that question, and maybe the county knows as well how they would, if that negotiation, I'm assuming just like any annexation, now that I'm thinking about it, just like any annexation, there's usually a resolution, there's an agreement, right? And so then that agreement is brought to the Board of Supervisors by resolution to be adopted. So yes, I expect it would go in front of the Board of Supervisors to approve revenue neutrality or any property tax exchange. And so that's where there's that mechanism.
Okay, I'll double check with
Yeah.
County Council. Thank you.
Yeah.
One more question. Who gets to vote on this? There, obviously, seems like the majority of landowners don't actually physically live in this 59,000 acre parcels. Can it be done by parcel, or does it have to be done by residents? Because I know a lot of people who may or may not be in favor of this, but do not live there, but own property generational in that area. So how does that become determined who votes on this? Does the minority get to vote for the majority, or of landowners? I would think this is a landowner issue, not just a residential issue.
It's a great question. The statute provides that it is approved by majority voters, so registered voters living within the affected territory. If there are any subsequent, like, there are some incorporations, I don't know if this one would, but there's some incorporations that would have like additional as a condition of approval, again, to make the proposal have sufficient revenue, would include like a special tax. This one does not propose that, but that would, or an assessment, some sort of additional parcel fee that would have a separate either voter or property owner approval, but that is not proposed as part of this. So really there would just be one vote and one measure, and it would be approved by registered voters within the affected territory and majority voter approval.
Another question after, are all landowners notified on this, or is it just obviously just the residents who live there? I would think that the people who own property there should be notified if their property is being taken out of a county and put into a town. Doesn't seem fair if that's the case.
So this, again, just like any application, there is landowner and registered voter notification requirements per the Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg Act.
Okay.
However, the Act provides that if the total registered voters exceed 1,000 or the total landowners exceed 1,000, that notice can be given by publication in newspapers of general circulation. And we try to do to do it in multiple and or make sure that those are included in the newspapers of general circulation in that area, and then even do it for multiple runs, and try to get the word out regarding the public hearing. So there would be at least a 21-day notice of the commission's hearing, and that's that notification. And if it was less than 1,000, then we would be sending individual mailed notices to landowners and registered voters, but there is a provision for just sheer number by providing that via publication.
So you could be a renter, not a landowner, but a registered voter there. So you're actually voting for something that you don't even own. So how is that fair?
Well, I
The
think,
process doesn't make sense.
There's still a resident that would be served by the new town. I mean, they do have vested interest in that outcome, I think. But I do hear what you're saying about landowners not having a direct vote. And it's just the statutory, it's how it's been created by state law.
yeah. Well, and I think it's similar, Anthony, like, when I run for election as a supervisor there, it's only the voters who vote me and not the landowners. But saying that, as the county brings this forward, if it gets to a point where the county's making a decision, we can certainly notify whoever we want to put them on notice and attend public meetings on it.
Yeah, I mean, I see your point, but I can't justify landowners, may not be residents, could be open space. Somebody could have 300 acres up there who don't want this, but now they're being forced to be put into a town as a landowner. I mean, it's different to vote for somebody to go do a job, but to permanently take your piece of property out of a county, put it in, or vice versa, in or out of a town, doesn't seem fair to do that. So.
But this is the state law. Very few of
Oh,
these.
great, that's our state.
Yeah. Well, it's been a state law since what,
1964.
63, 64.
Never thought it was
Wasn't
good
a
then
recent
either.
governor.
Right, no.
It wasn't a recent legislature.
No, it just doesn't make sense, and obviously
Yeah.
things could be changed as things move along, but it
Yeah.
just doesn't.
Yeah.
I guess as a landowner, I don't have land up there, so let's clarify that. But as a landowner in California, and if I don't live on all of my properties, I should have a say of where my properties lie, as a landowner, so, okay. Thank you for all that.
Like taxes.
Yeah.
Just don't pay my.
Any other questions any other commissioners
I
have
wanted
questions on the
to wait
report?
to hear, I think the applicants are here, and if there's other public, and then I might have questions following that.
All right. If there's
As
no more,
one commissioner.
there's no more commissioner questions on the report, I'll open it up for public comment. This time, any member of the public can approach the podium. Please state your name and comment on this item.
And Vice Chair Eklund and members of the commission and esteemed commission alternates, thank you both for being here. My name is Steve Teixeira, and I'm here today on behalf of Eastern Placer Future, which is the 501c4 nonprofit that is advocating for this particular proposal. And in preparing for today's meeting, and I can help answer some of Supervisor DiMattei's questions, happy to do that. Preparing for today's meeting, we looked at your work plan and your budget, which you just discussed, and you're moving that forward to June 10th. You have a significant workload, no question about it. You have various MSRs, sphere of influence updates, reorganization projects, some still in process that are being carried over from this fiscal to the next fiscal year. And you have some new projects, one of which is 2026-01, our Incorporation application for the proposed town of North Tahoe. At the same time, we recognize that the commission is in a staffing transition. In reviewing your proposed final budget, it does seem like you have some resources that you could apply to what we hope would be a focused opportunity to have essentially a project manager work with us because of the complexity, as outlined by your interim executive officer, the complexity of this and the questions that are bound to arise during the process that you will have, and the public will have, and others will have. So we hope that you believe that you have the resources and that you can direct the resources so that we have somebody that can be a project manager, maybe some other support, and that project manager, whoever that might be, whether it's internal or external consultant, could be with this project all the way through completion. It would be somewhat detrimental, we believe, to have a change in that during the course of this process. But it's up to this commission to decide how you want to do that. We hope we would be involved in helping you make that decision. We believe it's essential to have somebody the whole way through, and maybe more than one somebody. We're happy to meet at any time with the commission, with your commission staff. We had a very productive meeting, I believe it was yesterday, after the Board of Supervisors meeting in Kings Beach, where we met with the county CEO, Mr. Shatney, and with Ms. Purvines, who's here, and with Stephanie Holloway, with the CEO's office at Tahoe, and started the dialogue about the things we need to talk about with the county. And I believe that we'll have plenty of opportunities to work through a lot of the issues. I want to point out and make sure that there's nothing about the county that we disagree with per se. This is born of a decision to pursue locally based decision making. We look at the growth in the county in the West Slope. We see the giant size of District 5 that Supervisor Gustafson has to drive all around to represent. And we know that our population at best is the same pretty much level or slightly in decline. And there will be opportunities for the district to grow even farther to the west once we get to the 2030 census. So if I'm over my time, you can let me know. But
Yeah, I'll let you continue.
okay, thank you, sir.
That's the applicant.
So at any rate, we're at the shrinking end of a very large, important county in the state of California. And we just want the ability to make some of the decisions for our area, which has unique needs by virtue of having a town council and our decision making. But does that mean that our relationship with the county is over? No, by no means. We have lots of partnerships going forward with the county. We will hopefully have good partnerships like the county has in some areas with the town of Truckee, our neighbors, and with the county of Nevada. So this is a pretty exciting opportunity for us, and we're just asking the commission to apply the appropriate resources and personnel so that we can continue. We've got a petition that we went through last fall that Colbert talked about. Before that, we did last spring, we did a community survey, and that was very positive. So we have a lot of people engaged in this, thousands of them, literally, and we have raised quite a bit of money, particularly for a small community like ours, and we're going to continue to raise money because obviously we're paying the tab for a lot of these studies and processes that we're going to go through. I do want to take a moment to answer, at least to the best of my ability, Supervisor DiMattei's question. We have made a specific outreach to homeowner associations many of whom have lots of folks who have property but are not registered to vote. Although there are some families who have one partner or spouse who registered to vote in this area and one back in their home territory. There's some controversy related to that, but people do understand. So we're making sure that we go out and we talk to people who have property, second homes, whatever that might be, and they're not able to vote or they haven't chosen to vote, and we want to make sure they understand what we're doing and why. And so in fact, we have another one coming up here in a couple weeks, and we're reaching out to a lot of folks. I think one we have coming up on Friday of next week is with the lakefront property owners, many of whom have property and have had property at the lake for many, many years. They may not live there full time, but we want them to understand what we're doing and why. So that's the consideration that we're asking for today in terms of resources that are available. Our website is easternplacerfuture.org, and we're happy to come down and meet with any of you individually or whatever it is to help you understand why we're doing this and why we look forward to the partnership with this commission and with the county and other stakeholders to move this forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Okay.
Sorry.
You want to let me go through public comment, and we can have, because Steve is the applicant.
I'll be happy to come back.
up there. Is there any other members from the public who would like to comment? All right, seeing none in the chambers, I'll ask those that are online. If anybody would like to comment on this item, please, this is your chance to do so. See no hands are raised. I will close public comment, and I believe the commission has a question for the applicant. Steve is being a representative of the Eastern, the town, Eastern Placer Future. Please ask the question.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry for the interruption. Yeah, sorry about that. Thank you, Steve. When you mentioned that you're going to have a meeting for lakefront owners, when is that?
It's the 22nd. It's a Friday, a week from this Friday,
May 22nd.
coordinated by their executive director.
Will that be? I guess it won't be online. Obviously, that was just a version. Second of all, have you guys run all your analysis? I would imagine on costs and fees, or what it's going to cost to run this town. I would imagine you guys probably have a pretty good, I would think, wrap around what the costs are going to be.
We did a preliminary fiscal review in the fiscal 22-23 cycle, which is actually a requirement as part of this process, but we went ahead and did it at that time, and we did an overview. We collaborated very closely, and we appreciate the county's collaboration because we used the numbers that they had for that fiscal cycle to do our analysis. And the outcome of that was very favorable, fiscally favorable. And there's no question that there's a certain revenue stream that we have that other jurisdictions don't necessarily have to the amount that we have it, and that's transient occupancy tax. So one of the ways that you judge, my understanding, you judge a fiscal feasibility is how much revenue you have for your general fund when you start out. If you have a certain percentage of general fund revenue that's available after revenues and expenses and all that other calculation, then you can kind of get to the next level. Now, when we go to the next level at the comprehensive fiscal that we're talking about today, that'll be a much more detailed, it'll be based on present numbers. And one of the differences that we had in our first analysis is that there was a large hole sort of in the Martis Valley area that was not included within the boundary. The principal reason for that was because it's principally federal responsibility area and state responsibility area with forested land. And so the consultant for us at the time said, you really probably don't want to take that on because it'll be a cost that you have to bear with somebody, probably CAL FIRE, to do a wildland fire protection agreement. And so we said, okay, we're learning. And so that was a hold. So we have actually two different boundaries. We have that one in our preliminary fiscal, and then we have the one that's in the application, where subsequent to the preliminary fiscal, we were advised by legal counsel, I believe, of LAFCO, and our own separate legal counsel that we engage to say that, LAFCO doesn't do islands. There's no reason to have a separate municipal service area within the boundaries of the town, near or adjacent to, for the county to go and do municipal services. that really doesn't meet the LAFCO test, as I understand it, which is you're looking for governmental efficiency of delivering services. And that wouldn't be meeting that definition. Again, I'm learning this, but I'm pretty sure that that's the case. So there are two boundaries, and there are some reasons why we changed the boundary from the original to what we have now. And we understand, those of us involved in this, that there would be a wildland fire protection agreement. We've talked with our friends and neighbors in the town of Truckee. They have one with CAL FIRE, and the cost of it ranges every year depending on how many fires around the state that CAL FIRE fights. It's currently $52.78 an acre.
Thank you, Steve.
Hopefully that helps.
All right. So,
Yeah, no,
Go.
obviously I'll have to wait till all the numbers come out, because obviously
that's the whole.
the truth will be in.
Yeah, maybe I could clarify too, Steve, by a question. Thanks for all your work. You don't go far enough in explaining to this commission, I know more than they might, or some of them might, on how much money you've raised and all the expertise you've brought in to help navigate this. But the preliminary fiscal analysis is one thing, is it compared to other cities? But what you don't know is what the county costs of service are. And so that is where this comprehensive fiscal analysis.
That's correct.
It's one thing to say the revenues look really positive.
Right.
For the number of services that you would be providing for a similarly sized community. But what it doesn't factor in, and what is critical, is the county's cost.
Right.
So that is the next step, and that is an expensive ticket item, and that's why you need to get to this point in order to get a comprehensive fiscal analysis. So I'm learning as we go too.
Right. We're all learning.
And the county's got to be instrumental in that, in identifying those detailed costs, because there's infrastructure, there's equipment, there's buildings, there's service delivery, all that has to be.
Obviously, and then as the county, obviously, they spread those costs over hundreds of thousands of acres, but now you're gonna put those costs with more staff on 59,000 acres. I mean, I guess I can make the analogy, it's like farming. If I farm 500 acres or I farm 10,000 acres, I'm gonna farm 10,000 cheaper because I'm gonna use that piece of equipment and my staff to cover more territory. And your expenses get higher as your property gets smaller. So,
Let me get this
from
back
a
on
business, from a business aspect, it doesn't seem like the revenue would be there because we spread that revenue over a whole county, not with the same staff, so.
Understood. I think the process in front of us will help answer a
Yeah,
lot of these.
that's kind of what
Yes,
we're
that's
trying
what-
to find out.
But I just know if you guys had a preliminary thought on that or numbers on that, so.
We do have the preliminary fiscal, which is available for review on our website, again, easternplacerfuture.org. And I should say that we also have a registered political action committee, which may be easier to remember. It is the Committee to Incorporate North Tahoe. It is registered with the state and with the Fair Political Practices Commission. That's our advocacy arm. Right now, Eastern Placer Future is working with the county and this commission on the process of doing these studies.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you. Appreciate
coming
it.
up and answering questions. So with that, I was going to ask the commission's gist of what was the presentation that was before us in the process. Is there any questions to staff on
Yes.
this process at this time?
I had one, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Gustafson?
Thanks. Amanda and Colette, because the committee represents many businesses and community members that deal with me all the time, they want to make sure that we're moving expeditiously. They're trying to raise money, but process gets in the way. And many of our business members who funded and supported this effort ask me, how long is this going to take, and why is it taken already 3 or 4 months? And, process is very important here. I want to try to expedite where we can, that we get the RFP out. And I know, Colette, you know that, because I've been mentioning to you, the county needs to review that RFP, is my understanding, and then we could get that out. We could start with a comprehensive fiscal analysis. And I just want to support any parallel tracks, not to cut corners, but to keep showing that we're making progress, because these people have raised money voluntarily to see if this works. And they've had a lot of support from our business community, and I want to make sure that we keep our promise to them, that we're doing our best to get them on a track that results in answers. So Because until we know the answers, none of us, we're all speculating. Will it work? Will it won't? And it's a long process.
I appreciate it, and we absolutely, LAFCO staff understands the importance of maintaining an efficient and coordinated review process, and we're coordinating very closely with Eastern Placer Future, and we're looking forward to coordinating very closely with the county staff as well.
So timing-wise, you said in the next couple weeks, you would get, and I'm sorry, but I keep doing this because a month goes by, another month, we're in the.
I'm not hearing audio. Maybe the mic is off.
She can't hear you.
Oh, you can hear me?
Is your light on?
Is your mic on?
Yeah, so
It was. Can you hear me
Oh,
now?
there we go.
Sorry, did I double push it? Sorry. So I just want to make sure that when you say a couple weeks, that we think we'll have the RFP out and circulating so we can at least
We're
start.
so very close.
Okay.
The RFP is detailed with regard to the scope of work. We are expecting to give enough guidance to the consultants about what our expectations are, and laying out the two-phase process as we discussed today. So, and we're still, wanting to make sure that all are in agreement. And I do this week want to get the draft RFP to county staff for review, but wanted to coordinate with Eastern Placer Future first. And so we are, I think, at that point to move it to county staff review.
Perfect, thank you.
And get more feedback, of course.
Any questions?
any other questions for the commissioners?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, Commissioner Eklund.
I was hoping that we would be able to see just a little bit more of a visual timeline. I think it would be helpful for us to understand better. I know it's just an estimate and everything can vary and no projects are the same, but just some sort of visual of how long each step of this process takes so that we can also manage our expectations. And my other concern was something that I just thought of, and I remember from the presentation at one of the LAFCOs, was that with the dual track, which would be great if they were able to happen at the same time because you're saving time and it's going faster. My understanding was that one of them has a timestamp on how long it lasts, and I apologize, I didn't have time to look this up before I came, but figured I could just ask. I know CEQA can take a varying amount of time, especially with this many acres, and then the comprehensive fiscal analysis. Is it achievable to dual track it, and is that going to, is there a risk that if it is dual tracked, that could actually hurt the application process with the
CFA time limit.
yeah, the time limits? Yeah.
You bring up a really good point, and that's where I've been reluctant to really lay out a timeline until we have consultants that have the expertise in the comprehensive fiscal analysis as well as the CEQA review process to really be able to help inform that better. But the comprehensive fiscal analysis is based on the most recent fiscal year's data available. That's preceding the issuance of the certificate of filing, which is then what triggers the commission hearing. And the CFA, generally according to that LAFCO, if I recall, like the LAFCO session that I also attended, can take, that 9 months,
Right.
Approximately 9 months to prepare. So it really leaves a small window to start and finish
Yeah.
that review within a single fiscal year. And within a single year. And so that is where the timing is. And then you also build in the CEQA and that track. And so there is a lot of moving parts. And that's why it is just so important we get a great consultant team And I appreciate what Steve, even the project manager, I have that in my executive officer's report, really build a team that can move this forward in a coordinated and efficient way, and to do it, to be really thoughtful about the process, as well as not trying to rush it, but be really realistic about what's needed. And there's still questions, and that's why the phase one with regard to the service assumptions is still very relevant, because there are, as mentioned with the wildland fire protection agreement, there are some remaining items that still, wasn't fully vetted as part of the initial fiscal feasibility analysis, and that need to be determined, and those cost determined. So there's still, we're still in an we're in this scoping phase still, and I think once we have the consultants, we'll have a better, clear picture of the timeline. So I appreciate the patience there.
Other questions?
I
Commissioner
do.
Friedman?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, I do. First of all, Colette, thank you for your detailed slides. Can at least I get a copy of that, please? Because I haven't seen it, and I'd like to have
A copy of
your slide deck.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll post it on the website,
Okay.
on that web page, and it will be available as similarly to all of the various slide presentations we provided to date are up on the web page.
Thank you. And then I'm going to jump on Commissioner Gustafson and Commissioner Eklund's comments here a little bit, in that what you said was the draft RFP was going out soon. But I don't know really what soon means, given that the formal application, I think, was February 25th, as I recall. And we're now into May. And as has been mentioned, this community kind of is on pins and needles. I don't want to go to the grocery store anymore because I'm tired of hearing about all the pins and needles. But the community has done a lot to raise a lot of money over several years to get to this point. And so when we look at a time frame of soon, I don't really know what that means. And then to jump on Commissioner Eklund's comments, can some of these processes be done concurrently in order to expedite it a little bit? And then lastly, and I totally acknowledge there are a lot of moving parts to get this moving forward, but if we can do that and help this process forward, I think it's going to help a lot. And then lastly, CEQA's not a done deal. Is that correct? CEQA is not necessarily required. It's one of those wait and sees, and it's along with the comprehensive fiscal analysis, we're going to know a lot when that gets done that's going to inform the rest of these steps, correct?
So with regard to CEQA, it is required. I think the level of environmental review is maybe what you're speaking of, is whether LAFCO could rely on like a statutory or categorical exemption, or whether it would require an initial study and then adopt a negative declaration or a mitigated negative declaration based on if there's impacts. Or whether it will require a full environmental impact report. And so that's where the level of environmental review still needs to be determined. But it is required. LAFCO is lead agency and is making a discretionary action for the incorporation and will need to comply with CEQA.
Are there any other questions, comments? I have some. Colette, basically the CFA is outlined pretty much with CHK. Cartesian knots. CKH.
CKH.
Yeah, CKH. I always get it messed. That doesn't look good on television, but yeah. But it's pretty much it kind of outlines what needs to be involved.
It
right?
absolutely does, yeah. There's a whole long section regarding the comprehensive fiscal analysis and revenue neutrality.
So my question gets to, once the two parties that are involved in this the parties that are involved in it, kind of come to agreement of scope, is that scope really open to alteration from this commission? Or is it kind of already, like, it's already just process driven, right? As long as it meets the act and it meets the parties that are talking, it's ready to go out to solicitation, right? Or
the approach and why I've been, why we have taken time and care with the comprehensive fiscal analysis and scoping that, and going through the referral process. I mean, we've learned things through the referral process and getting comments back and doing that informational agency meeting. So, but ultimately we're making sure that the application review process meets the statutory criteria and requirements that ultimately this commission will need in order to make a decision. And so that's where the evaluation. So with any application, the commission has the long list of determinations you have to make, and there's various factors. And so those statutory criteria and factors include, population and land use characteristics, the need for an ability to provide municipal services, the fiscal effects on the proposed town and affected agencies, promotion of orderly and efficient service delivery, community identity and relationship for the proposed boundary to existing and planned land uses. So we look at all of these various factors when looking at any application, as well as, the outcome of the comprehensive fiscal analysis and the revenue neutrality provisions and, comments from affected and interested agencies, as well as the public. There's just like any application, the comprehensive fiscal analysis and the environmental review are two key pieces, and that will inform and be able to support LAFCO's findings.
So I was just looking at the CFA, the comprehensive financial analysis.
Mm-hmm.
If how long do you think before we're ready to go up for an RFP for that?
We have it drafted. We're still in review. We're coordinating with Eastern Placer Future. They've seen it already, provided us comments. I'm going to provide them with a response to their comments tomorrow. I have it all ready to go. And then once there's a green light, I want to send it to the county staff. And so I'm expecting that by early next week. And then I expect a meeting, just a initial meeting between LAFCO staff, county staff, and Eastern Placer Future representatives to just make sure we're all on the same page about how we're moving forward with the comprehensive fiscal analysis. And once I feel comfortable that, we're all on the same page, we'll distribute it.
And how
So
long
I
will that
can't,
go?
we're close.
We're close.
We really are.
And so what I'm trying to see is this something that will come back in a June meeting that we could award, or just to keep the process moving? Is it something that this commission could give you the authority just to enter the agreement instead of waiting a couple extra weeks to come back, since the scope and everything is kind of already lined out under state law, or it's a process? It's not really subjective type.
I think I would probably defer to legal counsel with regard to your question. My expectation is that we would be bringing back a contract at a subsequent meeting for commission approval. Looking at the El Dorado Hills RFP, they provided a 4-week window between the RFP release and proposals being due. And so I would anticipate, just needing likely not at the next meeting, but the meeting after.
So I think you're talking about the, if I can clarify, Josh.
Yes.
You're talking about the award of the contract to the consultant. I think we're
Yes.
most focused on getting the RFP out to even see who's out there and making sure the county does have a chance to review the RFP is important as well.
Colette, do you think we could maybe like within 2 weeks, by the end of the following week at the latest, probably get the RFP out?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And that'd be for the CFA at least. right?
Yes,
Yeah,
that
just
would
for the
be for the
CFA.
Just for the CFA.
Correct.
We just want to see if we could get the
Right.
CFA started
Yes.
as soon as possible, because it seems that's pretty much just statutorily.
And let's not fool ourselves, that's months and months of process.
Correct.
Right.
The county doesn't readily have these files broken out.
No.
I've served on the board for 6 years, and some of the questions that are being raised by this are what I've been faced with since I took office, which is, what are the costs of service up here? And until we do a very detailed breakdown, no one can tell us that.
Yeah.
And county isn't gonna just undertake that without an official process to do it in, so.
And that's why coordination with county staff is so key.
Right,
Especially in
right.
this phase
Right.
even.
So this is not, as much as we're talking about hurry up, it's gonna be hurry up and then a very long process. So until we start it, we don't know how long.
Right.
And that is the reason, I think, for the urgency of the community that is continuing to pay consultants and their own experts and raising money and, time is money. And that's why there's, I think, I'm feeling that pressure. Maybe they're talking to Judy too at the grocery store, but you can't go very many places in our community without people asking, what do we do now? We've signed a petition, we've given money, now what? And so trying to at least show progress is really important.
I mean,
So
we did that parking deal for parking meters, and when we got all the numbers back, the county was negative, like $50,000.
But on the East Shore, we're making money on the Tahoe Transportation District. That's a whole nother story we could talk about.
I understand that, but you're gonna break all this down part by part.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of line items that are gonna be very negative, and are those negatives, you're not gonna know till the end of the day, outweigh the positives. But,
Yeah.
$68,000 to do 2 parking lots, negative, I mean, I can just imagine, spread that across 59,000 acres, what that's gonna cost.
Yeah.
To do services.
Yeah, exactly, and whether they want to continue that once they see that.
So what I was trying to kind of get a feel for the commission, is there an appetite for us to authorize staff to enter agreement before coming to the commission with a consultant after it went out after the RFP process? Or would we want to have it come to us? Because I believe by our policies now, the staff can only enter, the LE can only enter in agreements under $10,000. So if we were to, this is probably going to be a larger expenditure, and if we wanted to, one of the options are we could have, if the commission feels they want to expedite it, we could hold a special meeting once you have everything coming here, and we could approve it the normal way, or we could give direction and the authority to up to a limit for the staff to do. But these are kind of things I've just thrown out to the commission. Commissioner Rohan.
I have a question.
Yep.
This would be a cost that the applicant bears anyway, right?
Yep. Now, the applicant can always request assistance, I believe, or a waiving of fees. I'll leave it to staff to answer, but I believe.
Yeah, waiver fee, we have that in our policy.
Yeah, in our policy, they could request, but as of now, it's borne on the applicant of conducting this study.
Well, I have listened, and I really appreciate the desire to show the applicants that we want staff to process this in a timely manner. So I'm looking for ways to make that happen as well. I think it's also important, even though we haven't said it out loud, this commission is going to review this material. We have to be neutral.
That's right.
But we can certainly look at ways to expedite the time in which this process moves through all of the avenues that it has to go through. I would be comfortable as long as the county and the applicant were comfortable with the consultant choice, and the applicant understands that's their cost. That's not the public's cost.
We understand.
That seems okay to me. And I just wanted to lay it out as a scenario for people to take a look at.
Oh,
Michael, did you want to comment on this proposal?
Well, I was going to say that the Brown Act would prohibit you from taking any action today to delegate authority to either Colette or Amanda to enter into that contract. So it would have to come back for action by the commission, either at a special meeting or at its next regular meeting.
so if we know that, thank you. So we know that in June, that this is probably not going to be ready, but we could have an item on the June agenda authorizing staff to meet the legal Brown Act requirements and the authorities to be given to have staff be able to enter into those agreements as we see fit to expedite the process. But that, if the board chooses to have that placed on the June agenda?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I have one more question.
Yes, go ahead.
So still unclear on, not to belabor the timeline, but this is reminding me of when we were just in a Titan missile silo cleanup discussion where we were talking about, it's very, I'll get back around. We were talking about, the frustrations of the public that we were potentially gonna hold off the next meeting and it was gonna push the project out a couple more months or 6 months, I can't remember. But the project itself and the cleanup, when it all came down to it, was going to take 50 years. So, I mean, at that point, who cares if it's like another, So what I guess what I'm getting at is a clear understanding and expectations for the public. Yes. What are we trying to do? Are we trying to get this done by November and then it's like a race? If it's not possible, then are we rushing to just rush and slow down and wait, to Commissioner Gustafson's point? Hurry up and wait, and then we're spinning our wheels and getting false hopes up and potentially incurring more cost when they don't have it yet, or, it just feels like I'm worried that we're hurrying up to wait just for,
Yeah, and I think, if I could just speak real quick, thank you.
But I totally want to
Go
get
ahead.
this done. I want to get it done.
I don't mean in any way to say we're shortcutting process, but
No, I don't.
I've been talking to the staff at LAFCO since last November when the signatures were collected to what ways can we make sure that we continue to move forward, because we were without an executive officer, we were down staff, we had one full-time staff member, we didn't have an interim at that point, so it isn't like this has just come today. Gotcha. Staff knows this has been coming, they've been holding meetings, and I'm just thinking if we can just keep, we have a lot of workflow here, too much. Yeah. To handle this. There aren't many incorporations in the entire state.
Right.
So, and many fail because they can't get to revenue neutrality. So, I think, and Steve, I don't want to speak for the group, but the folks that have talked to me, they just want to see progress and moving things forward and some level of certainty. And that was where the frustration was. Not at any of us, just at the situation we're in, and they understand that. I think you said that right at the get-go. We just haven't had the staff. So as long as we're moving forward, I feel like, and we can give them some expectation that we can at least start the CFA, because it might end at the CFA. And then they don't have to raise any more money.
That's a good point.
And so,
It's still,
in the meantime, there's fundraising efforts
Milestone.
going on, it's an incredibly dedicated, passionate group of folks.
yeah.
And I want to make sure that we do our part in government to answer their questions as we can. So I didn't mean to make it sound like it was like, today we got this and we got to,
No, I'm
it's
just
been
trying to
coming for
understand.
months.
Yeah, no, and that actually gives me a little more clarity on the situation, that it's not the end of the getting to the incorporation isn't necessarily the end goal. As it states, it's phased out, and that will be a measurable achievement when we even just get to the fiscal analysis.
Yeah, the CFA answers a lot of questions. A lot of questions that were even asked of the commission on tonight. And Steve, the CFA starts putting those finding
trying to get
answers.
there.
It starts scoping, and people start seeing if the molding. It starts the path. So,
She's been wanting to
Oh,
say
sorry.
something. I jumped in front of her.
Excuse me. So as I understand it, what we're talking about, and Michael, maybe you can give me some clarity on this. We're not voting on a contract. We're releasing the RFP to get to the CFA. And so we can't give staff direction? Is that what I saw you come on that camera really fast, so I figured you had something about that. But so we can't just give direction to get the RFP moving forward. Is that correct? We have to vote on that.
Staff can make that decision.
No, that's not correct. Staff already has the authority to issue the RFP. The issue is actually entering into a contract as a result of the RFP process with a consultant. That either needs to come back to the commission, either for an act delegating that authority to enter into that contract to Colette, or the commission itself approving that contract with the consultant.
Therefore, we could offer staff direction today to move forward with the RFP to get to that point. Is that correct?
Yes, you may do that, but staff is already doing that.
And then, okay, thank you. And then, Mr. Teixeira also raised a question about a project manager specific to this project, given the work plan that we've been presented with and how huge it is. And I'm wondering what everybody's opinion of moving forward with something like that might be, so that we have someone just dedicated to this project, given it is so huge, it is so unusual.
I would imagine that we don't have the staff to do that right now. We'd have to go out and hire somebody to manage that.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
May I offer?
Yeah, you can offer.
Okay, it would be very common for an applicant to have an assigned project manager for something like this, but they pick up the tab for it. The bill comes to the agency, but the bill is paid for by the applicant. That's what I would assume would be the case here too. And it would provide for a lot of efficiency.
So I think there's two tracks here, right? We're kind of in the presentation, I think that it was, we have the CFA and we have this CEQA and the other parts of the process. I believe staff was proposing two things. They were talking about the CFA that is very close to having agreement to go up for an RFP that could probably be released to get a consultant going. They were also, I believe, in the presentation, was an option of coming back with the project manager or some kind of scoping for the rest of that work of how that would look as a project manager somewhere around the July meeting. They are trying to figure out the rest of what the scope of work would be outside of the CFA. So what would other be parts of the process in the CEQA documentation, other type things that would help manage that process. And I believe staff is going to come back with some kind of scope and some type of suggestion for the applicants and for the commission if coming forward. So I think some kind of game plan to keep the process moving while we are onboarding a new executive officer, et cetera. All right, Colette?
Yes, and actually I included that in my executive officer's report, but it is all, it's obviously part of this too, so I can just speak to it now. So in addition to the request for proposals for the comprehensive fiscal analysis, which a draft RFP is in draft form, and it is progressing. I'm expecting to do another request for proposals for multi-scope services, and this would be for a project management, special counsel, CEQA special counsel, and CEQA consulting. And those would all be procured under separate scopes and contracts, but just one RFP. So we don't have to do 3 different RFPs. So one RFP for multi-scope services to include project management, CEQA special counsel, and CEQA consulting. And so those all need to be scoped as well. But we can proceed with that request for proposals and getting those under contract, again, very closely coordinated with Eastern Placer Future and the county.
Chair, I'm sorry.
No, don't
I
be sorry.
may
That's
not-
what the whole idea of it.
So, well, I agree. I think I agree, but let me just be clear. Right now, we don't have adequate LAFCO staff to run this process, and we made that conscious decision because of our executive officer. When we hire that person, we think they should make the decisions on staffing that will work for them. And so there's one part of managing the project. When we get into CEQA expertise, that to me seems like a separate, and you may not go to CEQA if the comprehensive fiscal analysis isn't done. So that would be my only concern about that, expending money. And for those of you who don't know,
You would have to redo the CFA because the CEQA, they have to at least somewhat align and be concurrent. Because if the CFA is done and then you start the environmental, you're going to pass. The CFA is at
That
least
I
going
understand.
to be
Yeah,
re-updated with the current year, with the updated fiscal year. So it's just hard. It's one of those timing things.
Colette, I
if we
understand
want them-
CEQA pretty well, and thank you.
Yeah.
I thought you were lumping it into the project manager for the
No.
for the application.
No.
Also, so if you're talking about the CFA and the LAFCO and the CEQA, I understand. So I misunderstood.
Yeah, no, yeah. So it'd be 3 different contracts, 3 different firms or consultants. So CEQA or environmental consultant, just to prepare the environmental
Right.
document. I'm also expecting, the need for a CEQA special counsel, a special counsel that has that special expertise in environmental
Absolutely.
review and processes to help guide the process. And then again, I agree with you with regard to the new executive officer. I mean, it's really their determination of whether, how staffing happens. But I want to at least get, this moving forward, a request for proposals for project management services, because it's a transition for a new executive officer with limited staff, and just anticipate the need for project management support.
Right. And one other quick clarification, I'm so sorry. I saw the list of agencies that you contacted for the comments. Was Tahoe Regional Planning Agency on that list? Okay,
Yes.
I just want to make sure because the CEQA
Absolutely.
is
Yes.
very limited in scope because of the land use restrictions that come from the bi-state.
Agreed.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments? Yeah, it's clear as mud. I believe that we're going to come back, I think, for the June meeting, if the RFP is already out there, with some kind of authorization for you to engage, for staff to engage in a contract or to proceed with the CFA. Okay, moving on to 8B. Election of chair and vice chair.
Okay, so the commission's rules of order require that the chair and vice chair be elected by a majority vote of the commission annually at the May meeting. The newly elected officers will assume office at the next regularly scheduled meeting. So the commission must elect a chair and vice chair for the June 2026 through May 2027 term. And if you follow our policies, the officers are generally follow a 7-year rotation. And generally, the vice chair succeeds the chair. And if that happens, that would be Commissioner Eklund would become the chair. And also, if we follow that same rotation, Commissioner Rohan would become the vice chair. Now, the commission does have the ability to deviate from the schedule by a majority vote. So we're recommending that the commission take the following actions. Elect Vice Chair Eklund as chair for the June 2026 to May 2027 term, and elect Commissioner Rohan as the vice chair for the same term. And just confirm that the newly elected officers will officially assume office at the next regularly scheduled meeting.
All right.
Mr. Chair, may I make a motion?
Can I second?
All right.
Before they agree or disagree?
But I have to let the public speak first.
Okay.
Let me ask if anybody from the public like to speak to this item. Seeing none in the chambers, how about anybody online? Seeing none, bring it back to the Commission for Action.
I'll move the staff's recommendation.
I'll make a second.
Okay, thank you.
All right, can I have a roll call vote?
Commissioner DiMattei.
Yes.
Commissioner Eklund.
Yes.
Commissioner Friedman.
Yes.
Commissioner Gustafson.
Yes.
Commissioner Rohan.
Yes.
Commissioner Youngblood.
Yes.
And Chair Alpine.
Oh, yes. Woo!
I'll bet.
Yeah. All right, item C. This brings us to the annual appointments of standing committees. Amy, you want to?
All right, so, again, in pursuant to Commission Policy 3.5, we're requesting that you appoint commissioners to the Budget and Personnel Committees for the 2026 to 2027 term. And we have two standing committees. We have the Budget and the Personnel. We are anticipating that the Budget Committee will meet in February and as needed. And the Personnel Committee, we are anticipating meeting in September due to the hiring of a new executive officer. And also with additional meetings scheduled as needed. The outgoing membership for the Personnel Committee is Commissioner Alpine, Commissioner DiMattei, Commissioner Eklund, and Commissioner Rohan, and alternate Commissioner Spriggs. The policies that you voted in November change our standing committees to only 3 members. So we would have to only appoint 3 members to the Personnel and 3 members to the Budget Committee. The outgoing membership for the Budget Committee is Commissioner Friedman, Commissioner Gustafson, Commissioner Lohman, who is no longer on the commission, and Commissioner Rohan. So staff is requesting that 3 commissioners be appointed to each committee.
All right. So let's start with Personnel Committee. Anybody like to be?
I discussed this with Supervisor Gutherson, that being that the county has 2 seats here, that we would split it. Each of us would be on one or the other. And we were good where we're at, not to have us do both. So we would like to keep it that way.
That way, all right.
So you want to stay on personnel?
Personnel.
I'll do, if you want to switch, I could switch. I don't care about that. But I just think that our conversation was that we don't do both, that we split that. So
Yeah.
if you want to switch, I'll switch with you. That's
I'm fine with.
money, personnel, it's all the same thing.
I'm kind of doing all the executive officer stuff, so why don't I stay on personnel if that's okay? And you
Fine, we'll
do-
switch
And
that.
you're the budget guy.
Let's-
All right.
Yeah, that's,
All right. How the, so, personnel?
I think that's a great idea, and similarly, I was thinking that if I were elected in as chair, just to spread the responsibility, I would step down from the committee, and that would free up one of the slots.
I also think that it's a good idea. There's enough work with the chair and the vice chair. If you split this up amongst the commissioners, you just have a better functioning commission, and I would be happy to pull out of the budget committee. Actually, out of both of them, that makes it easier. That way we would retain the people who have been in these positions, so that that knowledge goes forward. The only difference would be for Stephanie to step into Sean Lohman's seat.
Can I decline? I'm more budgets. Can I do personnel instead?
Pardon?
you can, you could decline it.
Okay. Just because I'm not a budget person anymore. I'm not, yeah.
She'd like to do.
This is
personnel.
how you learn how to do it.
I don't
Well-
like handling, I'd rather do personnel.
I'd rather,
If somebody
think-
wants to switch with me.
I was thinking,
The special
I was-
district can't have this conversation.
I was thinking this, if the personnel committee, why don't we just keep what the current committee in the EO executive committee, just that we're doing with the outreach and carrying that on. The whole idea of having the meeting set in September is just to make sure that the new
I see.
executive officer is being supported correctly. And since we were already involved in that process, it would probably be good to keep us three that are currently on that executive office committee to be the personnel committee for next
So
year.
that would be a temporary personnel
Personnel
committee
committee.
of Cindy, yourself, and me.
Yeah, for next year,
Temporary.
just so we help with the onboarding of the new executive officer. That's kind of the whole idea of having that first meeting in September. And
So
that,
special districts just met about that, and we agree.
oh. And I think that, we agree that you're on budget.
Okay,
I know that's how that shook out, but.
And I'm sorry, Stephanie, you're going budget.
Can I appoint her to the budget committee?
Oh,
Already been appointed by Josh.
it's a, so,
okay.
It's fine. We'll just leave it the way it is, and Cindy and I'll just.
budget, budget,
We're good.
It's not that great at,
We'll help you.
don't worry, we'll help you, it'll be good.
Easy. Well, we got you.
All right, so I guess.
So just Cindy and I would switch, and then the rest stays the same.
Yep,
Okay,
Right.
Cindy and
Perfect.
Anthony switch, is that what we
Yeah.
decided?
Cindy and I will switch,
I'll
and the
just
rest
go to
stays the same.
personnel and he'll go to budget.
so the personnel committee for 2027, or the 2026-27 year is Rohan, Gustafson, Alpine. The budget committee for the same year is Friedman, Stephanie, and Diwate. All right, Youngblood. All right, cool. And then I just wanted to ask, I was going to ask one question.
Wait, I think we need to do a roll call vote on
And then-
that one.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you need a motion and a vote on that, Chair.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to have that committee set as
Second.
stated.
All right, second, then a roll call vote.
Commissioner DiMattei,
Yes.
Commissioner Eklund,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedman, Commissioner Gustafson,
Yes.
Commissioner Rohan,
Yes.
Commissioner Youngblood,
yes.
and Chair Alpine.
Yes. The other question in this committee, in this item here is how would the commission feel about possibly having some meetings at a different location next year or later this year? Considering that this is not to be, we're not going to make the decision today, I'm just putting it out to you, about having a couple meetings on the East Slope due to the Incorporation effort and some other things that are happening. And that will be, if the commission feels like they'd be open to that, the new chair would be working with staff about establishing those things. Was that something that's?
Yeah, can I just speak to that for a second? in incorporation effort or not, I have a lot of constituents in special districts on the other side, and they're asking, what is LAFCO? And as we get more active and start to do more things, I will offer a meeting space at North Lake Tahoe for this commission to meet.
So that's
Not
something that the commission would be
Garwoods.
interested in doing.
Yeah, Garwoods, that'll work, Judy.
See, you're already getting
I was
direction.
thinking of a meeting when they-
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
At least one or two a year up there, well, and then at least do this process of how everything is going. For at least this, if we could do it this calendar year, I don't have a problem with it.
Great. Okay. Cool. I said I'd ask.
When,
And then-
so who's gonna try to establish the next dates in Tahoe?
Well,
Probably do that together.
Yes,
that'll be staff of
right.
Eklund.
and we'll make sure.
Chair Eklund will be working with staff on the meeting calendar for 2027.
And we'll take
The rest
weather
of this
into
year.
account too. So we'll
Right.
make a standing meeting date that will
So
have
we can go skiing.
good weather. Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right, that brings us, for the sake of time, as much as we all like to be here, we're going to go with item 8D, Executive Officer Report.
All right, I'll keep this brief. So this looks very similar to the last meeting. It's organized into applications, municipal service reviews, and spheres of influence updates, and administrative and organizational updates. And for applications, we have 2 applications on file. The Town of North Tahoe Incorporation, which you reviewed in agenda item 8A, so we won't go into detail on that. And then the South Placer Municipal Utility District for a single parcel. And so that one, not much has changed since the last meeting and update. We have an application on file. LAFCO staff distributed the notice of filing and agency referral, as well as the property tax exchange notice, and we're awaiting completion of the property tax exchange negotiations between the county and the district. And once those are complete, we can move this forward to commission review and action. With regard to municipal service reviews, the Placer County Cemetery District's MSR and SOI update. We had a revised administrative draft that Amanda reviewed, and that is now out with the cemetery districts for a second round of review and comments. If we hear back quickly and we feel that the revisions reflect what the agencies requested and their comments based on the first round of review, we hope to bring that back at the next meeting, so the June meeting, and for opening the public hearing and then in the public review process. So that would initiate the public review process, and then we would hold the final public hearing and commission adoption at the next meeting after that. So that's the Cemetery District MSR. And then we have the Eastern Placer County Fire and EMS Municipal Service Review, and that is coordinating with ESCI, the consultant, and the fire agencies to complete the admin draft review. So that's still in progress, and we're hoping that that will go out to public review as well soon, and looking at the July-August LAFCO meetings. With regard to administrative and organizational updates, we're moving through the executive officer recruitment process. There's panel interviews that will conclude tomorrow, like the first round of interviews. There'll be reference check. We're hoping to conduct a second panel interviews with agency representatives. So county, city, and special district representatives that can conduct the second round. And Joe Serrano with Santa Cruz LAFCO, who is facilitating this process, would sit into just for that continuity between the round 1 and round 2 interviews. And then finalist interviews would be conducted with the commission at the June 10th meeting, and that would be a special meeting prior to our regularly scheduled meeting and closed session. So that's the current process for the executive officer recruitment. We did have 13 applications and 6 moved forward for the first round interviews. And then we also are, there's a analyst 1 recruitment that is open right now, and we hope to, those applications were due May 11th. So I'll be able to provide an update for you at the next meeting. Draft county memorandum of understanding is still in progress. I'm just gonna say I really haven't had a significant amount of time to focus on that. I really want to get that drafted, and that is like my goal before the new executive officer. I want that drafted and in review, so that can be just one more thing that we can set up for the next executive officer, and I'm really wanting a smooth transition. So that's on my priority, but that's why there's been no change since the last meeting. And then the LAFCO conference was great. That was May 6th through 8th at Pismo Beach, and all of your staff attended. And so it was really great to see Amanda and Amy. And there were great sessions, and that we can get slides if anyone's interested too. But yeah, great networking and really informative sessions. And then there are upcoming June 10th commission meeting. As I mentioned, that will include the special meeting prior for the executive officer recruitment, and then the meeting itself, regular meeting, will include the final work plan and final budget for fiscal year 26-27. We're hoping to bring fee schedule updates as well. Those are needed, and policy updates as well. So a lot happening, and keeping our administrative and work plan and budget items moving forward. Available for any questions.
Any questions? All right, seeing none, thank you. Oh, I can open up for, I think I have to do public comment. Anybody like to comment? None? How about online? None? All right, thank you very much, Colette. And that'll bring us to, we don't have any closed session today. So item 9 is not needed, item 10 is not needed, and that brings us to item 11, commissioner comments. Any commissioner has comments? All right. Oh, something's going fast. That brings us to adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll move. Second.
All right.
Third, fourth,
We stand adjourned. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you.